Henryk Bronowicki, currently, in 2025, 78 years old and retired, was a Polish aviation engineer, civil aviator, instructor, test pilot, and airline pilot. In 2023, he wrote an autobiographic book called Pilot Doświadczalny, in English, A Test Pilot, outlining his life as a pilot, his experience and adventures. The book includes a captivating chapter describing what, in all probability, must have been an encounter with a UFO. It was the 13th of July, 1984. Henryk Bronowicki arrived at the Mielec airfield to carry out a crucial test flight. His task was to fly a TS-11 Iskra aircraft to check that earlier defects had been fixed and to test its behaviour in a spin. As he stepped out of his car onto the ramp, he saw mechanics and ground staff standing before the hangars, gazing up at the sky and speaking animatedly. They seemed very curious, and what they were looking at surprised Bronowicki. High above the airfield, suspended motionless, hung a silvery spherical object. Despite a moderate wind of about 5 meters per second, about 18 kilometers per hour, it did not drift at all. If it had been a balloon, the wind would have moved it. At that moment, Bronowicki recalled a passage from a local newspaper, Noviny, by Anatol Dworkin. On Friday the 13th of July in the afternoon, a mysterious object appeared. Thousands watched it, wondering what it might be. It was visible from around 4:30 p.m. until late afternoon. Suddenly it had appeared over Rzeszów, then hovered motionless above the town for a time, before slowly drifting toward Mielec. No sound accompanied its motion. It floated across the sky. Its shape was balloon-like. Eyewitnesses described it reflecting sunlight brilliantly, as though polished silver. One witness, Stanisław R., said he at first thought it was a balloon. Only later did he notice that while clouds drifted, this object stayed fixed, shining oddly in the sun. Another, Janusz B., observed it over Nowe Miasto, estimated its size at 2 to 3 meters, and remarked on its strong, sunlit reflection. The air traffic controller at Rzeszów-Jasionka, Janusz Szpont, also reported seeing a luminous sphere, estimated at about 2,000 meters altitude, a few meters across, moving toward Mielec. The Mielec airfield was cleared for flights up to flight level 80, approximately 2,450 meters. Because the airfield lay within an international corridor stretching from Warsaw through Jędrzejów to Mielec and further, any flights above that altitude had to be coordinated with radar area control. Bronowicki spoke briefly with mechanics who were observing the object, then went to the operations office to request clearance to 5,000 meters. Director Kazimierz Lubetowicz agreed and asked him to fly close to the object to identify it. He said that ground observers had been watching it through a powerful telemeter for about 40 minutes, estimating it at about 2,000 meters altitude. Area radar control, responsible for civilian air traffic, did not detect it, so all flights in that corridor were halted as a precaution. Military radar in Sandomierz, likewise, showed no trace. Once airborne, he would switch radio contact to Sandomierz. It puzzled him that the military radars so near, about 70 kilometers away, saw nothing. In the back cockpit rode a respected older engineer, Henryk Lubera, from technical control. They did not carry oxygen masks because they had verified pressurization up to 11,000 meters, and the flight was supposed to remain below that. After takeoff and during the climb into Zone 4, east of Mielec, adjacent to the Demba military training range, the operations director informed Bronowicki. Demba operates up to 10,000 meters. After your task here, switch to Sandomierz control. This meant he needed to stay strictly within the zone and not cross onto the training range, risking being mistaken for a target if stray fire erupted. He executed the spin tests, confirmed the repairs, and deemed the aircraft sound. Cruising at about 2,000 meters toward the airfield, just above cumulus clouds, he made radio contact with Sandomierz. They confirmed they saw him and would track him, but did not see the object. He then contacted the Mielec tower, which cleared him to fly toward the hovering object, still stationary south of the airfield. Once they approached the object, they observed that it was a large, silvery sphere, estimated about 500 meters above them, i.e. approximately 2,500 meters. Lubera and Bronowicki judged its diameter to be around 25 meters. Bronowicki directed the Iskra toward it at approximately 500 kilometers per hour, climbing aggressively. They intended to approach within a few meters. As they neared, they concluded this was no balloon, but a strange object spinning around its vertical axis. The Mielec operations director radioed that he saw both the Iskra and the balloon and was watching them with the telemeter. He had telephone contact with the radar operator in Sandomierz, who confirmed that on his radar only their aircraft appeared, not the object. Bronowicki responded that he would stay in contact and attempt to get closer. The radar operator replied, "You may approach, we'll keep observing you." When they closed to approximately 500 meters, the object began moving in tandem with them, ascending and matching their pace, blocking any closer approach. They climbed together, separated by about 100 meters. He was struck by its gleaming, reflective surface. The object rotated rapidly. It was at least twice the size of the Iskra. It was not perfectly spherical, but slightly elongated, darker underneath. As they climbed and slowed, the distance remained about 100 meters. Lubera and Bronowicki continuously compared their observations. The phenomenon was strange, baffling, almost unbelievable. Without oxygen masks, once above approximately 5,000 meters, they connected hoses from the oxygen cylinder to their masks and attempted to breathe through the pressure lines. This was hazardous. After several minutes, at about 7,500 meters, the object would not allow any closer approach. He radioed Mielec that he was aborting the mission and would descend to land. They confirmed he could land and said they were following both the object and him. During descent, he did not see the sphere, but was told the object descended along with them, trailing behind. The Sandomierz radar operator said he saw only the aircraft on his screen. After landing and taxiing to the ramp, the operations director told them the object had descended again and was stationary over the same spot it had hovered before their flight. From the ground, they continued to watch. After about 20 minutes, the object sped off toward the southwest, heading for Tarnów, moving against the wind. While Bronowicki admitted he was not a UFO expert, he said that, as an aeronautical engineer and experimental pilot, what he witnessed raised many questions he could not answer. The Mielec sighting of July 1984 didn't happen in isolation. Over the decades that followed, reports of metallic spheres, bright orbs, and glowing objects have continued to surface around the world. Many of these stories share remarkable similarities, both in how the objects look and how they behave. NASA and Pentagon analysts have recently confirmed that among the thousands of unidentified aerial phenomena they've reviewed, the most common shape described by pilots and ground observers is the metallic orb. Smooth, round, highly reflective, often hovering motionless and then moving with sudden precision, sometimes without showing any visible means of propulsion. In many ways, that description mirrors what Henryk Bronowicki and his observer saw over Mielec. A shining, spinning sphere that seemed to defy the wind and later matched their aircraft's climb. Modern accounts include examples from every continent. In the United States, military personnel have filmed small spherical objects moving near training ranges. Objects that, to this day, remain officially unexplained. Witnesses have captured glowing spirals and orbs twisting across the night sky, sometimes coinciding with rocket launches but not always fitting those explanations perfectly. In Asia, a metallic orb filmed over China sparked similar questions. Was it a drone, a balloon, or something entirely different? And in Colombia, the discovery of a heavy metallic sphere that fell from the sky ignited public speculation about whether we were dealing with experimental hardware or an unknown technology. Yet even with all of today's sensors, satellites, and radar coverage, the same contradiction keeps appearing. Observers can see these objects clearly, even record them on video, but radar systems often detect nothing at all. That odd disconnect was already present in Mielec back in 1984. Bronowicki's silver sphere was visible to hundreds of people on the ground, tracked through high-power optics, yet completely invisible to both civilian and military radar. Decades later, advanced radar networks still struggle with these same elusive shapes. Another curious pattern lies in their interaction with aircraft. Several modern reports describe metallic orbs shadowing planes at fixed distances, maintaining formation without obvious thrust or exhaust. Bronowicki's object behaved in exactly that way. Every time he climbed or turned, the sphere adjusted its altitude to stay parallel, keeping just out of reach. The consistency of that detail, stretching from Cold War Poland to 21st century military encounters, is hard to ignore. Of course, explanations vary. Some investigators believe most of these orbs are man-made, weather balloons, reflective drones, or fragments of rocket hardware drifting in upper air currents. Others point to atmospheric effects or misperceptions amplified by sunlight. But a small fraction of cases resist any ordinary explanation. When professionals describe structured, metallic objects performing controlled maneuvers and leaving no radar trace, the line between the known and the unknown starts to blur. Seen through that lens, the Mielec event becomes more than just an isolated Cold War curiosity. It's an early data point in a much broader continuing pattern, a pattern of mysterious orbs appearing in our skies, vanishing from our instruments, and leaving behind only questions. Questions about physics, about technology, and perhaps even about who or what might be behind them. And what do you think, dear viewers and listeners? Could the sphere have been just a balloon that somehow escaped radar tracking? Or perhaps it was some man-made device being tested, invented, and constructed by Poles or by the Soviets? Or did Henryk Bronowicki really encounter an otherworldly craft capable of outrageous maneuvers and achieving incredible speeds? What could the silvery, shiny object be? And what was it doing over Polish civilian and military airfields? Please write in the comments what you think about it, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and/or click the like button. Until next time.